Ref app.
The Ref Sports Radio Network.
Live from the Buffalo Wild Wings studios, it's time to get locked into the best Sooner recruiting and football news with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
Oh, yeah, let's get it rolling. I'm out here at Riverwind Casino on a Friday. One more show until the weekend here on Locked In. Parker Thune alongside Grayson Singleton with you. Check in with us on the text line at 405-651-3439 if you so desire. The show brought to you today and every day by Dorsey Jones GMC out in El Reno. Family-owned and operated, friendly service advisors, outstanding technicians, a low-pressure sales environment, half-price oil changes on Saturdays, and, of course, GMC offers some of the most reliable trucks and SUVs on the road today. So many reasons to do business with the good folks out at Dorsey Jones in El Reno. Grayson, the Sooners are on the board in the class of 2028. That was a very unique announcement last night from Micah Rhodess. First and foremost, maybe it's happened before, but I cannot recall the nightcap show with Chad Ochocinco Johnson and Shannon Sharp being a forum upon which a budding student athlete has announced his commitment before.
I was going to ask you, have you seen that before?
I've never seen that before. I'm not going to say it was the first. I don't know that for a fact, but I can't recall nightcap ever being the platform for a commitment announcement, which, by the way, I was told on pretty good authority yesterday, the guy that lined that all up, not surprisingly, given all of his celebrity connections that he's accumulated over the years, none other than the man that recruited Micah Jones to Oklahoma, that being DeMarco Murray. So, Rhodes on board as the first commit of the 2028 cycle for Oklahoma, and I mentioned in the 12 o'clock hour, but it bears repeating. I also just loved the fact that he was as concise with his announcement as you could have possibly been last night. Thank you guys for having me on. Without further ado, I'll be committing to the University of Oklahoma. And that's who this kid is, man. All about business. His recruitment got started very, very early on in the process. He's had time to intentionally evaluate all of the options at his disposal. And nothing quite measured up to Oklahoma for Micah Rhodess.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, I will say this, Parker. I don't know how much of Nightcap you have watched or clips you have seen, but it's a little surprising that somebody let their sophomore kid announce their commitment on Nightcap, if you know the content of that show. But I digress. No, this is really cool, man. And in terms of the running backs that Oklahoma has recruited ever since I hopped on this station, Micah Rhodess, to me, is the most talented out of all of them. Jonathan Hatton notwithstanding, any of the guys in 2027 that we've talked about. Like, Micah Rhodess, to me, just has something that's a little bit different. And the comp to Jahmyr Gibbs in terms of running style, how he can make it happen no matter how you put the ball into his hands. Again, no discrediting to Jonathan Hatton or other guys, DeZephan Walker, Keldrick Ben, the guys that we talked about. But there just seems to be a little something different when you talk about the combination of home run hitting ability, being able to do it with physicality and with wiggle and with speed. I would not be surprised if Micah Rhodess ends up as a 5-star when it's all said and done and the class of 2028 has wrapped up and everything. But, man, this is a huge get. I like the kid. Based on the Nightcap announcement, I like the personality as well. He's got a little bit of a cockiness to him, saying, I can do it. I can do everything. He seems like a dude who's going to fit right in with DeMarco Murray. So, credit to Coach Murray for getting this one done expeditiously, and this one should be a lot of fun in the coming years.
I know we're going to get the question at some point, what are the odds this kid reclassifies to the 2027 cycle? So I'll get ahead of what I feel like is an inevitable question there. I don't think that will occur for a couple of reasons. One, Oklahoma already has 2 running backs committed in the 27 cycle, so there's not going to be an urgency on their part to get Micah Rhodess in the building. But also, he's actually young for his grade, Grayson. You know, you get a lot of kids that were held back at some point for athletic purposes more so than anything else, and so they're a year older than what would be considered the standard average age for their grade. That's not true of Micah Rhodess. He is as old as he should be for a sophomore in high school, and actually, given where his birthday falls on the calendar, he's on the younger end of the spectrum for his grade. So I expect he will graduate with the class of 2028. The plan will be to get him to Oklahoma a semester early. He'll be a spring enrollee, which is pretty much standard procedure these days for a lot of these guys. But the running back position is such a difficult one to play in general, and it's only become more difficult in recent years because you have to have a certain set of skills. Right? You have to have the physicality. You have to have the ability to go between the tackles 20 times in a football game and hold up physically and not get worn down and not get dinged up. That is a prerequisite. Obviously, you have to have elite athleticism, speed, agility, change of direction. If you're going to play running back at the P4 level, you have to have those qualities as well. But you also have to have a level of instinct and processing power between the ears as well. You have to be able to understand how everything sets up in front of you at the line of scrimmage, where you can attack, where you're going to need to either follow your blockers or create space for yourself. There's a lot that goes into being a successful running back at the high school level, certainly at the collegiate level, and the guys that make it to the NFL, they're the 1%ers. Right? But when you look at Micah Rhodess, you watch what shows up on tape for that kid, I think you come to understand why this was the earliest offer ever issued to a running back prospect at Oklahoma by DeMarco Murray. Micah Rhodess held an Oklahoma offer before he ever played a down of high school football, and it's because he just kind of gets it. The running back position just kind of comes naturally to him. He's got the patience. He's got the vision. He's got the explosiveness. He's got the elusiveness. I would say the one concern that I've heard voiced just talking to people around the industry with regard to Micah Rhodess' future at the collegiate level and potentially beyond is there's some concern about his top-end speed, his fifth gear. And when you look at it from that standpoint, Grayson, even if Micah Rhodess never improves that top-end speed, let's say he never unlocks another gear in terms of the level to which he can accelerate when he's running absolute full speed in the open field. Even if there's never any progression in that regard, which you would expect there would be, this is still a very high-floor player at the next level because of those qualities that I mentioned, the vision, the patience, the ability to contribute as a receiver, the ability to make guys miss in the open field, the ability to absorb contact and keep those legs churning. It's entirely understandable when you watch the tape why he's regarded by consensus as a top 3 running back in the 2028 class.
Yeah, it is. And, going back to what you originally said about the running back position being hard to play in college football these days, it absolutely is. And it's even harder to project as well. So when you ask the question to me, why does Oklahoma offer him, because I actually just ran across your tweet, when back in 2024, when Micah Rhodess first got the offer, and you asked the question, why would they offer him? Here's why. Because if you see something that you can project, you want to jump on it. And now, obviously, that becomes, we play the waiting game as to what he does end up becoming and if he can fulfill those types of projections. But to me, Oklahoma, it's been a second since they've been able to have a dude who is really electric, just flipping it to him out of the backfield as a receiver. Last year, they did not have that guy with either Blaylock or Robinson. The year before, they didn't have it either in 2024. So the fact that they get a guy who can do that, I think just adds another element and another wrinkle to an offense coordinated by a pretty creative guy in Ben Arbuckle. So that's why I do like the fit. I will say also, I don't know what kind of vibe they got going on at Riverwind right now, but it seemed like they turning up over there.
We're having a grand old time, as we always do out here off I-35 and Highway 9 at Riverwind Casino. Matt from Moore on the text line, 405-651-3439, says, he sounds a lot like Kennedy Brooks to me, so even if he doesn't have elite speed, I'll take all the rest of that stuff in a heartbeat. I can get why you would think that, Matt. He's certainly not Kennedy Brooks. I mean, Kennedy Brooks, I'll call a spade here. Kennedy Brooks was just flat out slow by running back standards. Now, it didn't matter because he had some of the most exceptional vision and patience that I've ever seen at the collegiate level from a running back. So he made it work. He became one of the most productive running backs in Oklahoma history. But Micah Rhodess has excellent acceleration. He does have excellent speed. He's got all of the baseline qualities that you look for in a high-level running back prospect. He had although I would categorize his speed as excellent, I don't know that I would categorize it as truly elite. You know, I'm trying to think of what a recent example of a running back that has truly elite speed would be. But, I mean, just think about the fastest running backs in the game. There are usually in any given year in college football, 4 or 5 guys that actually have some status across the sport whose names you know that, when they get in the open field, they're running away from dudes. Micah Rhodess right now is somebody that can outrun dudes. I don't know that he's the type that's going to run away from them. He's not pulling away, beating everybody by 20 yards to the goal line. And speed is something that can continue to be honed. We saw this, this is what helped CeeDee Lamb's game level up. And I know he plays a different position, but that was the biggest difference between sophomore year CeeDee Lamb in 2018 and junior year CeeDee Lamb in 2019. He was always sudden. He could always go 0 to 60 in a hurry, but his top-end speed improved significantly from 2018 to 2019. And anybody that shared the locker room with him at that point will tell you the exact same thing. When CeeDee Lamb came back from winter break, heading into his junior year in 2019, something had changed, some switch had flipped. Whatever it was in his workout regimen that had helped him gain a couple ticks in the speed department, it was conspicuous, it was noticeable, and that's how he became the Biletnikoff Award runner-up in 2019. So for Micah Rhodess, if he gets a tick faster, great. If not, he has all of what it takes to be a 1,000-yard type back at the collegiate level. DeMarco Murray loves this kid. Oklahoma loves this kid, and he has always loved Oklahoma. I don't believe there was ever a point in this process at which Oklahoma lost the lead for Micah Rhodess. He wanted the OU offer even before he had it. That was one that he specifically coveted. He got it. He took his time with the process. He accumulated 20-plus other high-level P4 offers, and yet he kept coming back to Oklahoma, literally and figuratively. I think he took 6 or 7 unofficial visits over the course of his recruitment, and he's still just a high school sophomore, obviously. So there's still a ways to go until the finish line for a guy like this, but he said it last night on Nightcap. He said, look, I'm a loyal guy. I know where I want to be. That's Oklahoma. That's with Coach Venables and DeMarco Murray. Colin Claremore says, hopefully this number 1 running back in the class won't be playing safety for another school in 3 years. I doubt the Taylor Tatum arc will be replicated. By the way, I just have to get this off my chest. Some of y'all need to tweet less. Some of y'all just need to tweet less.
Old man Brant coming in 3, 2, 1.
I'm not going to rant here. I will say this, though. Last night, when Micah Rhodess announces his commitment to Oklahoma and everybody's firing off their tweets in recognition of the commitment, and some of y'all are down there in the comments section like, can't wait for DeMarco to misuse this kid, or hard to get excited about the number 1 running back when Taylor Tatum just flamed out and transferred and switched positions. People, not every single thought you have has to be posted on Twitter.com. You can choose to just like and retweet and log off, because in that moment, put yourself in the kid's shoes. He may have 30, 40 people in the comment section talking about how pumped up, how stoked for him they are, but do you think he's going to like seeing those 5 tweets about how, man, your future position coach doesn't know how to develop, or Do you really want to come play for the guy who couldn't get Taylor Tatum whipped into shape? Or, shoot, I mean, okay, number one running back, what does that mean? He's 28. Is he even going to sign? Folks, you don't always have to tweet. Sometimes you can just keep those thoughts in your own head. That's just fine as well. 405-651-3439. I have seen a couple of questions, Grayson, asking about the size for Micah Rhodess. And he's listed on recruiting sites anywhere from 5'9 to 5'11. I've seen the kid in person many a time. He's probably right there in the middle. He's probably about 5'10, I would say. 180 pounds, if I had to guess. So I would think that's a guy that by the time he enrolls at Oklahoma is 190, 195, and ideally you want to be able to bulk him up kind of where they have Torrey Blaylock right now. And Torrey Blaylock is an inch or so taller than Micah Rhodess, but he sits just north of 200. He's familiar with Blaylock, good relationship. They obviously come from the Houston area, so they've known each other for a number of years. And he's cited Torrey Blaylock, Rhodess as a guy whose career arc he wants to mirror at Oklahoma. He'd like to be the guy that shows up and plays immediately and makes an impact immediately as a freshman. The same can be said of Rhodes' former high school teammate, Cortland Guillory, who was a critical component of Oklahoma's defensive efforts at the cornerback position this past year as a true freshman. But this is the type of guy, Grayson, that because of the tools that he brings to the table, in addition to just the way that DeMarco Murray historically has managed the backfield at Oklahoma, this is somebody that you can absolutely see making an impact as a freshman when he shows up.
Yeah, I can see it too. And you look at what happened with Torrey Blaylock this year, and again, no disrespect to anybody, but I still do hold to the opinion that Micah Rhodess is the most talented out of those guys. So I look at what happened with Torrey Blaylock, and then they use Blaylock alongside Robinson once X gets healthy toward the latter part of the season. So, no, absolutely. Given what happened in 2025, I can certainly see Micah Rhodess, if he continues to grow into what we think he can grow into and come into fall camp and even spring workouts, if those still exist, by the time Micah Rhodess gets to college, and if they haven't changed the calendar and all that, once he gets into Norman, if he looks as how we think he was going to look, then yes, he should get his opportunity to contribute as a true freshman.
Quick spin back to the text line. A 405 listener says, I definitely had the same thoughts about DeMarco. Didn't tweet it, though. See, there's a model citizen right there. Be more like that individual. Another 405 listener says, for an old man rant, that was pretty solid. Hey, listen, you got beef with DeMarco Murray? You don't want to get excited about Micah Rhodess because he's still 2 years out from signing, and the last number one running back that Oklahoma signed didn't pan out. Send those messages, send those texts, send those sentiments to us on the text line at 405-651-3439. That's what sports talk radio is for. Don't go underneath a kid's commitment announcement talking about how incompetent his future position coach is or how you can't get excited about his addition. Just congratulate him on his commitment, tune into the ref the next day, and fire all of your hot takes at me and Grayson. This is why the text line exists. All right, folks, quick opening timeout. I'm out at Riverwind Casino today. Locked in, rolls on. Coming up next, could the Sooners potentially be in play for a couple in-state prospects that haven't held the offer for very long or perhaps don't even hold the offer yet? Couple different cases I want to dig into in that regard. Coming up next, this is The Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
Locked In is brought to you every day by Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno. Dorsey Jones GMC is family-owned and operated with a knowledgeable, low-pressure sales staff here to help you through the buying process and half-price oil changes on Saturdays. Visit dorsey-jonesgmc.com for more information.
For the professional, it's not enough to just possess knowledge. That's why at GMC, we seek to refine it, to wield its power, to redefine its boundaries, while pushing the limits. And we put this knowledge to the test in every GMC Sierra by engineering each one to outperform your expectations. So you know you're getting precision and durability when you need it most. And that's what makes the GMC Sierra the truck worth knowing. We are professional grade. See your Oklahoma GMC dealers.
A public service announcement from Oklahoma Human Services. Hey Oklahomans, did you know updating your SNAP food benefits info is a snap? Have you changed jobs or hours? Has your monthly cost of housing changed? Have your household members changed? Maybe you've recently moved. If you're a recipient of SNAP benefits in Oklahoma, visit okdhslive.org to update your information. That's okdhslive.org. It's a SNAP, Oklahoma.
Winter weather won't stop Edmund Car Wash from keeping your ride spotless. The Broadway location features heated automatic bays that stay open even when temps drop to 8 degrees, so you'll always have a place to wash off winter grime. Choose fast, touchless automatics or do it yourself. Free vacuums, mat cleaners, and more are included. Edmund Car Wash, where your car shines, rain or snow.
At Oklahoma Electric Cooperative, we value service, not profits. That's why we want to help you save on energy costs this winter. Here are a few tips. First, open curtains on your home's south-facing windows during the day and use the sun's heat for free. Second, seal leaky doors and windows using low-cost caulking or weather stripping. And third, be sure to keep the fireplace damper closed unless a fire is burning. Visit okcoop.org for more ways to save this winter.
How do you give hope to a child in the foster care system? It starts with your heart. That tug you feel on yours when you hear that children are waiting for a stable, loving voice to speak up for their best interests. And then it becomes your time. What started out as a feeling that maybe you could make a difference becomes the difference. Change a child's story. There is a child waiting for a volunteer like you.
Contact South Central CASA at 405-360-5295.
Your child is sick. With those 4 words, the innocence and joy of childhood disappears. But Starlight has taught us 4 other words that make all the difference. The power of play. Happy kids heal faster. That's why Starlight Children's Foundation delivers happiness through gaming, toy deliveries, and more to hospitals across the country. Learn more at starlight.org.
Aging well means staying healthy, active, and independent. To age well, we need to take care of our bones. 10 million Americans have osteoporosis, a hereditary disease that makes bones weak and more likely to break. Thankfully, we can all take simple steps to improve our bone health at any age. Eat a healthy diet that is rich in calcium and vitamin D. Get regular weight-bearing exercise, which means on our feet. Get bone health tips at pathtogoodbonehealth.org.
Matthew.
Huh? Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I just need you to listen to me.
I know that a lot of times, Mom, it might not seem like I'm listening to you, but I am. I hear you. And what you say really does matter to me.
I mean, let's be honest. No kid likes rules, but I get why we have them. I hear you, and I know it's because you care.
For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
It's locked in here on the Ref. Parker Thune live out at Riverwind Casino on this Friday. Grayson Singleton hanging back in the Buffalo Wild Wings studios in master control. On the text line 405-651-3439 is where we're fielding all of your feedback. We got a mini manifesto from Julio, who says, Parker, I know you're probably not allowed to speak critically of DeMarco because no one ever reads any texts that are critical of him, but if you are, please read this. Well, first off, Julio, I have spoken critically about DeMarco in the past. Diehard listeners of this show can attest to that, and we're not completely closed off to criticizing anyone. Now, if I don't believe somebody is deserving of the criticism that's being oriented towards them, I'll speak up about that. If I feel like the criticism is entirely deserved and warranted, I will say that as well. I've never been someone who skirts around the truth as I see it. But back to Julio's text. DeMarco was an awesome Sooner. He is a terrible coach. Both can be true. I don't agree with commenting on recruits' posts with negativity about the coaching staff, but, and I sent this in earlier, did we even see enough of Jaden Knott last year to know certainly that he sucked? I did see him miss one block at Texas. Is it possible he is just another casualty of the worst running back coach in OU program history? Before DeMarco got here, we always had a strong running game, even in the Blake era. The last 4 years, we've had no running game at all. Here's hoping DeMarco doesn't have naked pictures of Roger Denny as well. Okay, Julio. Let's dig into this. Did we see enough of Jaden Knott last year to know that he sucked? Perhaps you didn't. I promise you that DeMarco Murray and the Oklahoma coaching staff saw more than enough of him to know that he did not deserve to be on the field over Xavier Robinson and Torrey Blaylock. Whenever we get into conversations like this, I'm always reminded of former Vikings head coach Mike Zimmer's infamous press conference where he made an infamous comment about the guy that at the time was the third-string quarterback in Minnesota, Kellen Mond, former Texas A&M Aggie, Kellen Mond. There was a reporter that asked Mike Zimmer, amidst quarterback controversy, I think Kirk Cousins was hurt, something like that. It was late in the season. There was some discussion over who the Vikings were going to start or who they should start at quarterback, and there was a reporter that asked Mike Zimmer, do you feel the need to see what Kellen Mond looks like on Sundays? And Zimmer answered simply, no. And the reporter followed up, naturally, and said, well, why is that? And Zimmer's response was, because I see him on the practice field every day. I guarantee you that if Jaden Knott was showing signs at any point that he deserved to be on the field over Xavier Robinson and Torrey Blaylock, even if DeMarco Murray had remained willfully, obstinately opposed to acknowledging those signs, somebody would have pulled rank on him. Be that Ben Arbuckle or Brent Venable. Like, you are, especially a guy to whom you paid nearly $1 million for 1 year of his services, if that guy is performing well enough and showing you enough throughout the week that you feel it is objectively the case that he has to be on the field, and for whatever reason, our running backs coach is unwilling to acknowledge that, you have to put that guy on the field. You have to put that guy on the field if he's the best option. But first off, I think it's strange to question the notion, or I think it's strange to present the notion that DeMarco Murray wouldn't play the best guy because it's his neck on the line. His livelihood is directly tied to the performance of Oklahoma's running back room. And so if he's not playing the best guy, first off, that's just self-sabotage. But also, it's not just up to DeMarco Murray. If Ben Arbuckle felt that Jaden Knott gave him something that DeMarco Murray wasn't seeing, Ben Arbuckle would have said, I don't care what you think, put Jaden Knott on the field. I have talked to so many people associated with the program about what went on with Jaden Knott during the 2025 campaign, and the word has been unanimous. He didn't deserve to be on the field. He didn't care enough to be on the field. He was not bought in enough to be on the field. And that is why Oklahoma was rolling with the tandem of Xavier Robinson and Torrey Blaylock. But I always do find that funny, Grayson. And I suppose it's only natural when there is such a catastrophe as there was with Jaden Knott. But any position coach is going to play the guy that he feels is best suited for the situation. Because otherwise, like I said, it's self-sabotage in its purest form if you are intentionally holding back your position group and refusing to play the guy that deserves to be on the field.
And I'm not going to make any bold accusations here. I'm not even going to make any concrete accusations here. But something is wrong with this. Because yesterday, you remember we had this conversation, and I said that it's hard for me to believe that Jaden Knott just got knocked upside the head, fell out of bed, and just got precipitously worse at football than he was at Cal in 2022 and 2023 that made Oklahoma go out and get him. So I don't think he is the lone culpable agent in all of this. And when you look at the Senior Bowl practices and he's out here throwing blocks like he's an A-plus pass blocker, and he's being a standout in the first couple of days, that raises my antenna. And look, I've been a defender of DeMarco Murray. I've brought out research that backs up my defense of DeMarco Murray, and I will continue to do so. But Jaden Knott, I know that's the easy character to talk about in this whole saga, but I do not think he's the only character that is culpable in this whole thing. I don't know if the other character is DeMarco Murray. I don't know if it's Ben Arbuckle. Hell, I don't know if it's Brent Venables. I don't know. But Jaden Knott being isolated, those Senior Bowl things, that makes me at least ask the question, is somebody else in the wrong in all of this? Because there's no reason he just got that bad overnight and then all of a sudden flipped a switch and was that good at Senior Bowl practices. Something is a little bit off here, and I don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's go back to yesterday's conversation. Occam's razor. What's the simplest explanation? The simplest explanation is that Jaden Knott just checked out in 2025 while at Oklahoma.
Yes. But the question that we haven't asked yet, Parker, is what caused him to check out? That's the unknown. That's the unknown variable here, is that what happened to cause him to just check out?
And the simplest explanation there, he got paid, didn't want to take any unnecessary risks, decided, you know what, I can play myself back up onto everybody's draft board in the Senior Bowl or the Shrine Bowl or whatever postseason showcases there are. I'll test well. I don't have to produce at Oklahoma. Maybe I don't know. I'm purely speculating here. Maybe in his mind it's I'm not even sure if I can produce at Oklahoma. What are the odds I'm as productive at Oklahoma as I was at Cal? Do I want to take that chance? Maybe I should just pack it in and collect a nice check on my way out the door. 405-651-3439. Getting back to recruiting here. Kailib Dillard got the Oklahoma offer, Grayson. The Jenks defensive back. We've talked about him throughout the week in anticipation of this move by the Sooners, but Oklahoma officially throws a hat in the ring for Kailib Dillard out of Jenks. I believe that's offer number 25 for him, so he's becoming a very coveted prospect within state lines. Now, I don't think he's been mentioned yet in the same conversations as a guy like Samaj Stanford or a guy like Gabriel Osborne, but a guy that Oklahoma likes enough on tape that they were willing to pull the trigger yesterday.
You know what's interesting about this guy, and I was thinking about this watching his film. He's very instinctive, and he's got traits. What I like the most about him is that he's a two-way guy. Mm-hmm. And there's quite a few upsides, no matter the position, at being a two-way guy. But when you combine his instinctiveness with the fact that he's seen it from the other side of the ball, I wonder in this day and age of motions and smoke screens and deception pre-snap and all of that, if that will allow him potentially at the next level to see through some of that. We've talked about his former teammate Samaj Stanford, who's out at Broken Arrow, and what football IQ and football smarts that he has. And I think Kailib Dillard is kind of in that same realm, too, of he sees the game very well, and he knows the game very well, and can break on what he sees. So that combined with the fact that he's also played wide receiver and been on the other side of all the motions and the trickery and the pre-snap things that have, become more and more commonplace in the modern age of football, I wonder if that'll translate a little bit. I'm very curious with that.
We'll have to see how this one unfolds, but you would think with Oklahoma getting in the picture for a guy that is within state lines, I know he's got other big-time offers. Miami has offered, Tennessee has offered, Georgia has offered. You have to consider Texas Tech a big offer these days, even though historically it probably isn't. Nebraska has offered, but the Sooners will certainly have a seat at the table moving forward for Kailib Dillard. And one thing as well, Grayson, that has me very excited is that as I reported on OU Insider this morning, the Sooners are visiting later this afternoon with Greydon Howell down at Broken Bow. And I get the impression he may have an Oklahoma offer by end of day. And if you're not familiar with Greydon Howell, well, you should be. We've talked a lot about him over the course of the winter on this show because to me, Grayson, there are a lot of guys in this 2027 class in the state of Oklahoma that are exceptionally talented football players with a future at the next level, with a future in the FBS, with a future in the P4. But to me, Greydon Howell to this point is the most glaring omission when we're talking about guys within state lines that don't have the Oklahoma offer. The kid is an absolute stud. Reigning 4A state champion in the 400 meters. Outstanding basketball player who's closing in on 2,000 career points as a junior down there at Broken Bow. He's a good enough baseball player that he's being recruited, actively recruited, by none other than Oklahoma head baseball coach Skip Johnson. And when you look at what he's done on the gridiron and how coveted he is already on the recruiting trail with offers from the likes of Stanford and Miami and Penn State and SMU. We've talked about the fact that he has committable FBS offers at 4 different positions: quarterback, wide receiver, slot receiver. At wide receiver, running back, and safety, in addition to quarterback. At 5'11", 180 pounds, when you turn on the tape, what you see is a guy that is good enough to play high-level football at a number of different positions. I don't even really think it matters where he settles positionally in the long term. This is somebody that if Oklahoma offers and pursues and ultimately locks in, will play good football at the University of Oklahoma before his collegiate career is done. Will be an impact performer somewhere. I am told it's Emmett Jones that's supposed to be going down to Broken Bow to meet with Howell, so that suggests, as has been corroborated in conversations with a couple different sources, that suggests Oklahoma sees him as a wide receiver first and foremost.
The only thing I can add to you and I's analysis of Greydon Howell, which has been outstanding ever since we started talking about him, is I hope that Oklahoma goes in with a plan. And I read your reporting on this earlier this morning, and something that you said, Parker, caught my eye. You said they want to get him in the building and then hammer out the fine details. In your write-up. Here's why I disagree with that slightly. If I'm a player and I am excelling at multiple positions like he does and have multiple committable offers at multiple different positions like he does, I want to know up front what your plan is, because I don't want to be caught in a merry-go-round of having to learn different positions and try to get good at them at the collegiate level, much less the SEC level, because it's just not going to work. So I want to know going in, if you're Oklahoma, what do you see me as? You see me as a wide receiver? All right, bet. Let's play wide receiver. You see me as a safety? All right, cool. Let's play safety. I'm going to get in Brandon Hall's room, and we're going to hunker down and learn safety. I want to know what I am doing and how you're going to get me to the NFL doing this one thing. So if you're Oklahoma, have that plan ready. I don't like the idea necessarily of let's get him on board and then we'll go from there. No, give me a detailed agenda of what you hope to accomplish with me, and if it lines up, then we'll go with that.
Yeah, for Howell's part, I'm not even really sure he cares, to be honest. I'm not sure he has a strong preference. I'm not sure whether he feels the need to see a detailed plan as to how a school like Oklahoma is going to use him positionally. I think he's still trying to take stock of what his future looks like and what he sees his ideal path being. Here's just kind of a bizarre factoid, by the way, is that Rivals projects Howell as a quarterback prospect. That's where they classify him. He's actually higher ranked as of right now than Jamison Roberts is. Greydon Howell's a 3-star 89 according to Rivals, number 24 quarterback prospect in the country. Jamison Roberts is a 3-star 88, the number 27 quarterback prospect in the country. So Oklahoma may end up offering a guy at wide receiver later today that is actually a higher-ranked quarterback prospect than the guy that they're all in on. So, obviously, like I said, Jamison Roberts, criminally underrated right now. He is not going to finish the cycle as a 3-star 88. That simply cannot be the case for a guy who's 6'3", 200 pounds, and racked up 58 total touchdowns and led his high school to a state runner-up finish in the state of Alabama as a junior. Like, he's not going to stay a 3-star 88, but how crazy is that? There could be a wide receiver offer made by Oklahoma today for a guy that is actually a higher-ranked quarterback prospect right now than the guy that OU sees as their quarterback of the future. So, keep an eye on that situation with Greydon Howell. If the Sooners offer, and again, it's my expectation right now that they do, things could go quickly there. He's real good friends with Cooper Hackett, so he will have Cooper Hackett hitting his line the second he announces the Oklahoma offer, if indeed he gets the Oklahoma offer later today. Hope it happens. Man, that kid is as good an athlete as there is in the state of Oklahoma, and ought to be a Sooner, in my humble opinion. 405-651-3439 is the text line if you want to tap in with us as we wrap up the show. Coming up next, one final segment here on Locked In. Keep it here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
Dustin Dvorak here. Do you eat, sleep, and breathe football? KREF is the only place for the most comprehensive daily analysis of Sooner and college football. We are the football experts. We're the home of Sooner fans. Download the KREF app and listen from anywhere.
Entrepreneurs and More Norman in South Oklahoma City have an experienced business partner in their neighborhood. More Norman Technology Center's workforce and economic development team understands the challenges entrepreneurs and small businesses face every day. From building an effective business model to hiring the right employees and managing cash flow, More Norman's business development experts can help you move forward confidently and thrive, knowing that you have a skilled partner at your side. Learn more about More Norman's Technology Center by calling 405-801-5000 or visit us online at mntc.edu.
They say if you don't like the weather in Oklahoma, wait 5 minutes and check it again. Nope, not there yet. Ah, that's more like it. Being comfortable is important, and if it's -5 degrees or 100 degrees, Norman Air has you covered. Our impeccable quality and unbeatable service is what sets us apart from our competitors. It's just part of our mission to keep Oklahoma comfortable. Visit normanair.com for all your heating, air, plumbing, and electrical needs. Norman Air, service to the max.
At Armstrong Bank, your business isn't just business to us, it's personal. Our bankers are invested in your success, and we're ready to build a relationship that lasts. You deserve a strong financial partner by your side. Together, we can help make your business even stronger with products and services designed for your convenience. To learn more, visit a location near you or visit armstrong.bank. Armstrong Bank. Strength runs in our family. Member FDIC.
Enjoy a highly realistic golf experience with no interruptions from weather, all powered by the latest golf simulation technology. This is Tyler McComas inviting you to check out Land Run Links, the perfect place for any golfer. Pick the membership that fits your needs. Pay just $60 per hour or opt for unlimited monthly play starting at $189. Need more time on the course? Add it for only $20 per additional hour. Reserve tee times for up to 4 hours and play on your schedule. We're open every day from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Head over to landrunlinks.com and elevate your swing today.
I'm Ben Affleck, and I want to thank you for joining me and supporting Paralyzed Veterans of America.
I joined the Navy to serve my country. While parachuting with my platoon, my parachute didn't open, and I broke my neck.
Thanks to PVA, paralyzed veterans are getting specialized medical care and treatments, the jobs they want, and the accessible vehicles and homes they need.
I just don't think my family would be as happy as they are without the support that I received from Paralyzed Veterans of America.
Learn more at PVA.org.
Action! When I grow up, I want to be a director because they get to talk to everybody about everything. They get to make cool movies and dance music videos.
If your child is sick over and over again, it could be PI, a defect of the immune system that affects millions. Early testing can give children a chance to dream.
And when I'm a director, I get to say, lights, camera, action.
For more information, visit the Jeffrey Modell Foundation at info4pi.org.
That's a wrap!
Bring in the new year with a bang at Dorsey Jones in El Reno. Save up to $12,250 on a brand new 2026 GMC Sierra 1500 Crew SLT 5.3-liter motor. $1,750 consumer cash, $6,000 dealer discount, $3,000 in GM trade allowance, $1,500 GM bonus cash. Drive the best just 15 minutes west. Dorsey Jones GMC I-40 and Highway 81 exit 125 in El Reno or dorsey-jonesgmc.com. GMC, we are professional grade. See dealer for details.
Hey, wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind, like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest.
Uh-oh.
Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Final segment of Locked In here on the Ref before we turn it over to Tyler and Ted for the Rush, coming up at 3 o'clock. Parker Thune at Riverwind Casino, Grayson Singleton back in the Buffalo Wild Wings studios, hanging out with all you on the text line, 405-651-3439. Chris from Knoxville on the text line asked, any new info on Gus Corsair? Well, the 4-star interior offensive lineman from Hays, Kansas will be on campus this weekend. I know Oklahoma would very much like to see if they can close the deal with Corsair before he leaves campus. Now, would I bet on that? Not necessarily, but OU leads, has led for a while. At this point, it's just about holding off all comers, which include Oregon, Kansas State, Minnesota, several other schools, Missouri heavily involved in the process, but Oklahoma looks like a strong bet there for Gus Corsair moving forward. Now, Grayson, here's what I want to know from you as we get ready to close it out here. Here's where I want to spend our last segment. When you look at the 2027 class, 13 commits so far. There will be more soon, but as it stands, there are a few things we know. Right? There are a few things that we know about this class. We know Oklahoma is pushing to land Jamison Roberts as their quarterback, and things look good there. We know that they're done at running back. They're done. Unless Keldred Ben bounces, it's Ben and Jackson Stokes, and that's your class. We know they're trying to close out their offensive line class, which currently consists of Cooper Hackett, Caden Penny, and Luke Wilson, trying to close it out with Gus Corsair and Tyson Ross, two native Kansans. As you look at the landscape of Oklahoma's recruiting efforts in the 2027 cycle, at which position group would you say you have the most questions as to what Oklahoma is going to do, as to how they're going to proceed? Is there one position group that jumps out at you that you're just not quite sure right now?
Well, I think the easy answer is quarterback, because what happens going forward if the Saraland, Alabama Jamison Roberts, if Jamison Roberts does not work out, his name slipped my mind for a second, if he doesn't commit to Oklahoma, and it looks like the Sooners are in a good spot, where do you go from there? We talked about this earlier on in the week, Parker, but Oklahoma has done we're recruiting one QB at a time thing in the 2027 class now twice. Peyton Houston didn't go their direction, and now you're doing this with Jamison Roberts. And obviously Jamison Roberts has picked up other marquee offers as well, as he deservedly should. But if it doesn't go your way, you're now at that point in the calendar where you're going to have to be trying to develop new relationships right on the precipice of OV season. So if there is a position that really stands out to me, I know there's others that they haven't, secured multiple commitments at. I do know that. But the quarterback thing and the way they're approaching it is always going to leave me not necessarily questioning the people in charge, but wondering if it doesn't go your way, okay, where do you pivot to next?
It's a robust group for Oklahoma so far in 2027, and it feels like going into official visit season, regardless of how many commits Oklahoma has locked in at that point, whether that's 15 or 16 or whether that's 20 plus. there's not going to be nearly as much white-knuckling from the fan base as to what happens during OV season. That should be a lot more laid back this time around, and that's a massive credit to Jim Nagy and to Stacey Ford and to all of the assistants and everybody that has been involved in Oklahoma's early recruiting efforts in 2027, because it feels as though proof of concept in the SEC in 2025, the season that Oklahoma had, successfully sold a ton of kids on Oklahoma a lot earlier than they might otherwise have been sold. What Oklahoma seems to announce in 2025 with the double-digit wins that they turned in was that, hey, we're here to swing with the big boys in the Southeastern Conference. And when you believe that that's happening at Oklahoma, and you're a highly coveted football prospect from the high school ranks, it's a lot easier for you to buy into that vision when you see tangible results. And so as I look at what is left out there on the board for Oklahoma in 2027, as they have what basically amounts to half a class already committed, I'll just be honest, and I'll try to set expectations realistically and reasonably for all of y'all that are tracking the Sooners recruiting efforts moving forward. There are guys that we're talking about as high likelihood additions for Oklahoma that they won't get. This happens every single year because stuff changes in recruiting. There are guys that have Oklahoma at the top of the board or seem to have Oklahoma at the top of the board that will wind up settling on other schools. Maybe Gus Corsair decides, you know what, I want to stay within state lines. I want to go to Kansas State. Or maybe a guy like Zane Rowe, maybe he gets $1 million thrown at him by a school like Texas Tech. He's like, you know what, I'll go out to Lubbock for a price point like that. We shall see. But there's going to be some ebb and flow. There will be some evolution to the composition of this class as it exists right now and as we project it to unfold over the next several months. But really, really encouraging to see what Oklahoma's already been able to piece together in the 27 class. Not only when we're talking about guys that are already on board, Grayson, but guys for whom Oklahoma quite obviously leads. Jamison Roberts, Jalen Scott, certainly should they offer today, Greydon Howell, Zane Rowe is in that conversation. Tyson Ross is in that conversation. Future Freaks on March 7th. We've mentioned it a couple times already this week and talking about what the immediate future looks like for the Sooner staff in the recruiting realm. But Future Freaks on March 7th has the potential to be a big, big day.
And it should be. And it should be. I mean, those junior days are huge in terms of getting those guys that you are very high on. A lot of those guys are very high on you, so that energy is reciprocated on those days. And also, it's a big peer recruiting day, man, because you have so many commitments already going in to that Future Freaks Day. 13 of them is what they're sitting at right now, I believe. Because you have so many, now all of a sudden you can have the peer recruiting going on, and then those 13 can start to multiply and whatnot. So the early work being done is a credit to Oklahoma in more ways than just the raw number. It also gives you a lot more potential as we get into junior days and ultimately official visit season as well.
I will say this as well as we wrap up. It's really encouraging to have seen the way that Oklahoma is approaching what you might categorize as contingency plans at certain positions. Keldred Ben decides, I want to visit Oregon and Texas. Days later, DeMarco Murray is down in Waco visiting with four-star uncommitted running back Lathan Wisenton, sending the signal that, hey, if you want to mess around with other schools, we can mess around with other guys. We'll go, tit for tat, if you will. And the offer to Greydon Howell, if indeed it comes down later today, I don't know that that's necessarily a contingency plan in its purest sense, because they would take his they have to take his commitment at that point with him being an in-state kid. If they're going to offer the scholarship, they have to be ready to take him. But is Oklahoma as proactive in their pursuit of Greydon Howell if they're overwhelmingly confident in their long-term odds to hold on to Trayvon Hall, the three-star wide receiver commit out of Tuscaloosa, Alabama? Probably not. So a lot of the questions that fans would be asking at this point in a cycle, what's going to happen with this kid? What if this kid decommits? What's with all the buzz between this other school and one of our commits? Whereas in years past, maybe Oklahoma has sat back and waited for something tangible to materialize. This staff is not doing that in 2027.
Yeah, no, I agree. Hey, Sooner287 on the text line real fast before we wrap up. Is there a commit incoming with Stacy's tweet?
I can neither confirm nor deny this. Keep your head on a swivel, folks. I think some stuff could shake this weekend for Oklahoma if things go a certain way. We'll be on top of all of it, and we'll be ready to break it all down with y'all when we get back in the office on Monday. Y'all have a phenomenal weekend.